I moved her toothbrush 3 centimeters to the left, and she said nothing. The first time I noticed it, I told myself it was accidental. We had been living together for just under 2 months, not long enough to fully merge habits, but long enough that the edges of our routines had begun to overlap. Two people adjusting around each other like furniture being nudged into place. Her name is Alina. She has a precise way of doing things. Not obsessive, just consistent. The kind of person who folds the same shirt the same way every time, who always places her keys in the same ceramic bowl by the door, who lines up her shoes so their tips form a quiet arc. I liked that about her. Or maybe I just noticed it more than other things. At first, I thought it was comforting. Predictability makes it easier to share space. You don't have to ask questions. You just observe. And then you know. The toothbrush thing happened on a Wednesday morning. We had both left for work. I came back early because a meeting was canceled. The apartment felt different when she wasn't there. Not empty, just quieter, in a way that made details louder.
The bathroom was clean. It always was. 2 toothbrushes and a glass holder. Mine leaned slightly to the right. Hers leaned slightly to the left. I stood there longer than necessary. Then I adjusted hers. Just a little. 3 centimeters. Maybe less. It didn't feel like much. It felt like correcting something I hadn't noticed before. When she came home that evening, I watched. She went into the bathroom, washed her hands, glanced at the mirror, and left. Nothing. No hesitation, no adjustment. I remember thinking I must have imagined how exact she was. The next day, I moved her keys. Not far. Just rotated them in the bowl so the key ring faced the opposite direction. That evening, she came in, dropped her bag, and paused. Her hand hovered over the bowl for a second longer than usual. Then she picked up the keys, looked at them, and set them back down. Different position. Not the original one, but not mine either. Somewhere in between. It became easier after that. Not because I wanted to do it more. That's not how it felt. It was just there. An opportunity.
Like noticing a crooked picture frame and wanting to straighten it. Except in this case, I was the one tilting it. I started small. Her mug turned slightly on the shelf. Her slippers shifted half a step apart. The spice jars, alphabetical, but with one out of order. Each time, I waited. Each time, I watched. And each time, she noticed. Not immediately, not dramatically, but always eventually. A pause, a slight tilt of her head, a correction. Or sometimes, no correction at all. Those were the moments that stayed with me. One evening, she was cooking. I had moved the salt earlier, placing it behind the sugar. Not hidden, just misplaced. She reached for it without looking. Her hand stopped midair. She frowned. Then she opened the sugar container instead, as if testing something. She didn't say anything. She didn't look at me. She just switched them back, carefully, and continued cooking. "Did you move this?" she asked later that night. Her voice was neutral. We were sitting on the couch. "What?" I said. "The salt." I looked at her, then at the kitchen. "No," I said. She nodded slowly. Okay. That was it. No accusation. No follow-up. Just a quiet acceptance that didn't feel like acceptance. After that, I became more careful. Not in what I did, in how I did it. I started timing things. When she left. When she returned.
how long she stayed in each room. I learned her rhythms. Not because I needed to, because it made everything smoother. There was a moment about 3 weeks in when something felt different. I had moved her notebook. She kept it on the desk by the window, always aligned with the edge, always parallel. I shifted it slightly, just enough that it wasn't aligned anymore. That evening, she came home, sat down at the desk, and opened the notebook. She didn't adjust it. She just started writing. For a long time, longer than usual. I watched from the doorway. Her posture was rigid. Her pen moved quickly. Too quickly. When she finished, she closed the notebook and stood up. Still no adjustment. She walked past me without looking. Later, when she was in the shower, I opened the notebook. I didn't plan to. I just did. The last page was filled with lines. Not sentences. Just lines. Parallel. Carefully drawn. Over and over again.
Until the page was completely covered. I closed the notebook and put it back. Aligned. Perfectly. The next morning, she adjusted it. Not much. Just a slight nudge. Back to her version of straight. I stopped for a few days after that. Not intentionally. It just didn't occur to me. Or maybe it did, and I ignored it. Things felt normal again. We had dinner together, watched something on TV, talked about work. She laughed once. It sounded the same. Then something small happened. Something I hadn't done. Her keys were in the bowl, but not the way either of us usually left them. They were placed upright, balanced, almost impossibly. I stood there, looking at them. They shouldn't have stayed like that. Not with the weight of the metal, not with the curve of the bowl. But they did. For a moment. Then they fell. "Did you do that?" I asked. She was in the kitchen. "Do what?" "The keys." She looked at me, then at the bowl, then back at me. "No." We stood there for a second, neither of us moving. Then she went back to what she was doing. That's when I started paying attention to things I hadn't touched.
Small things. A chair slightly out of place. A drawer not fully closed. The toothbrush, sometimes leaning differently. Not always. Just sometimes. I didn't mention it. It didn't feel like something to mention. One night, I woke up and she wasn't in bed. The apartment was dark. Quiet. I got up and walked to the living room. She was sitting on the floor, facing the bookshelf. Not reading, just looking. "What are you doing?" I asked. She didn't turn around. "Listening," she said. "To what?" She was quiet for a moment. "Nothing," she said. The next day, I moved the bookshelf. Just a little. It was heavy, but not impossible. I shifted it about an inch to the left, just enough that the space between it and the wall changed. That evening, she stood in front of it, longer than usual. Her hand hovered near the edge. She didn't touch it. She just stood there. "Something's off," she said. I was in the kitchen. "What do you mean?" She didn't answer immediately. Then she turned to me. "You've been moving things." It wasn't a question. I smiled. "Why would I do that?" She looked at me for a long time. "I don't know," she said. That night, she didn't sleep much. I could tell. Her breathing was different. Uneven.
The next morning, everything was aligned. Perfectly. More than usual. Too perfect. The toothbrushes were parallel. The keys were centered. The mugs were evenly spaced. It looked staged. I didn't touch anything that day. When I came home in the evening, things had changed again. Not dramatically, just enough. The toothbrush, slightly off. The keys, angled. The notebook, misaligned. She was sitting on the couch, looking at nothing. "I think I'm forgetting things," she said. Her voice was calm. Too calm. "Like what?" "Where I put things." "That happens," I said. She nodded. "Yeah." We sat in silence for a while. "I wrote something today," she said. "In the notebook." I didn't respond. "You can read it," she said. I went to the desk, opened the notebook. The page was filled with lines again. But this time, there was something else. At the bottom, a sentence. "It's easier if I don't fix it." I closed the notebook. That was the moment I understood. Not everything, but enough. I didn't stop.
Not after that. It wouldn't have made sense to stop. Stopping would have been noticeable. Instead, I adjusted. Smaller changes, less frequent. Just enough to keep things uncertain. She started second-guessing herself more, checking things twice, then 3 times. Sometimes not at all. One evening, she stood in the doorway for a long time, holding her keys, not moving. "Are you okay?" I asked. She looked at me. "I don't trust where things are anymore." I nodded. That seemed reasonable. "I think I need to leave for a while," she said. "Just to clear my head." "Of course," I said. She packed a small bag, carefully, precisely, like she always did. At the door, she paused, looked at the bowl, at the keys, at me. "Don't move anything," she said. I smiled. "I won't." She nodded. Then she left. The apartment was quiet again, but not the same kind of quiet. I walked into the bathroom, looked at the toothbrushes. Mine leaned slightly to the right. Hers leaned slightly to the left. I didn't touch them. Not at first. I went to the kitchen. The salt was behind the sugar. I switched them. Then I stopped, looked around. Everything was in place, exactly as she had left it. Too exact. I went back to the bathroom, picked up her toothbrush, moved it 3 centimeters to the left. Then I moved mine 3 centimeters to the right. They were no longer symmetrical. I stepped back, looked at them, and for a moment, I couldn't remember which one was mine.